Welcome back to What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Joining us this Sunday is Michele Boomhower, who works for the Vermont Agency of Transportation. She is the Director of Policy, Planning, and Intermodal Development. Hi, Michele. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Lauren. It's really wonderful to be here to talk about transportation.
That's right. There's a lot going on, and we are waiting on the infrastructure bill to be signed. But that's, of course, the big ticket item that we want to talk about. First, however, I'm going to start with a question that I get asked all the time, and you probably do too, and you may not have an answer to, but here we are with high gas prices. I paid $3.47 the other day. Why are prices so high in Vermont?
Well, I have to say, Lauren, that it seems to be a national phenomenon. I was in California for a couple of weeks earlier in October, and the prices there in the hundreds of miles that I traveled were running $4.50 a gallon. To $4.75. And so I'd have to say that this seems to be a national phenomenon, and Vermont is not alone in experiencing this price point. In terms of the market impacts that are creating this situation, I don't have a lot of background on that, but I think, like many things in our economy right now, prices are responding to supply and availability, and that is likely a similar case with gasoline.
Do you foresee it getting possibly to $4 in our little section of the Northeast?
I really would hate to speculate on that, Lauren. Certainly we have been at $4 once before, I want to say, but it is a price point that really puts pressure on folks and creates a lot of hardship, and we end up having a lot more transit ridership when folks are forced to find ways to get around when prices are that high.
Yeah, no doubt. And here we are in the busy holiday season and with a lot of people probably on the roads.
Yes.
Okay, we did a story several weeks ago about a potential staffing shortage when it came to VTrans. Yeah. I know you guys are hiring between $18 and $21, per experience level for people. And people get worried when they talk about plow drivers and having enough to clear the snow. Is that a concern? How many people have you onboarded?
Of course, plow drivers are on our mind every day, and making sure we have an adequate supply of folks ready and trained to go out. I would say we are still hiring, but we are also making backup arrangements in the event we do have places where we need additional support. And so our contracting community around the state, we have folks stepping up and are willing to help us in the event we need additional support. So we're feeling like we will be in good shape for this coming winter. But like every area where truck driving is a key component of your business model, we are facing shortages, and it's impacting people across the economy.
Nobody likes to have to worry about not being able to get out if they need to in an emergency situation or to go to work. But do you possibly foresee having to hold off on some secondary roads getting plowed if this situation continues?
We have a plowing plan that prioritizes roadways by the capacity of vehicles we expect to see along those locations. And so we prioritize already, and sometimes the lower priority roads, they get plowed, but they may not be as quickly plowed as some of the more active roadways. So we do keep that in mind as part of our focus.
Okay, Michele, I appreciate you answering that. Okay, Vermont, we know, has $2.2 billion coming its way from this bipartisan infrastructure bill passed late last Friday night. It still has yet to be signed. The president probably waiting on some members of Congress to come back to DC. There are a lot of road projects already going on in the Green Mountain State. So how will probably right away this money be used?
Right away, we will be using the money to push forward the program that we are working on, and the program that is going to be announced by the governor in the budget address in January with the legislature. And we hope to be able to not only expedite the programs that are in the queue, But we also hope to begin onboarding other new types of projects. We've been planning for the past several months and creating lists of opportunities for projects that are more easily implemented in terms of permitting, design, and that sort of thing. So we can get some of those off the ground in the early stages of this infrastructure 5-year bill. And then we will simultaneously be working with communities and regions to work on the list of their priorities and other things that we will be able to design and permit and implement probably later in the process. We have to obligate these funds or basically have a commitment on them with Federal Highway Administration by the end of the 5-year bill. But the construction of them may run on for another 2 to 3 years once they're obligated. So we have a pretty good time frame in terms of being able to queue up projects.
With some of the projects that are going on as we speak, may it be a situation that this money would help possibly speed up completion? That if we were 6 months out, maybe 4 months?
Well, that really is a construction process parameter, and we can sometimes speed things up, but oftentimes things just take the time they take. A project that might have been in the books for 3 years out or 4 years out based on what we anticipated our funding levels would be, now might come into the book, in 2 or 3 years versus 3 to 4 or 3 to 5. So it's that type of advancement that we'll be looking to get the biggest bang for the buck out of.
Do you know when you could start to see this money?
Yeah. So basically what needs to happen next, this is the sort of policy bill that sets the investment levels, but we need to have the annual appropriations bill passed as well in order to begin to take advantage of the money. And right now we're on a continuing resolution for last year's investment bill, and Congress is expected to act upon the federal fiscal year 22 budget, hopefully by early December when the continuing resolution runs out. And so we could begin to see access to these funds sometime in December is our expectation.
Okay, so before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Michele, I do want to quickly talk about Amtrak if we can. We get updates every so often when it comes to what's going on near the waterfront in Burlington. How will that money impact this project?
So the money that we are using to develop the Amtrak to Burlington project was part of a multi-year, multi-million-dollar grant that we received about 3.5 years ago. And so we have all the money in the bank to finish that project and begin operations. One of the key things that this bill will do for us, though, on the Amtrak side is the equipment on the train cars, the engines, et cetera, which Amtrak has to replace periodically. And I think they may be well and ready to go on that in the next few years. And historically, Vermont would have had to underwrite the cost of the replacement of that equipment in the majority of the package for Amtrak, Ethan Allen, and Vermonter. We do share those services with New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, but it's based on the miles traveled within your state. And so this bill will have the bill paying for the car replacement, which will save Vermont about $114 million from money they would have normally had to spend when this replacement happens 5 to 6 years from now. So that's a really significant opportunity and savings for Vermont.
Okay. What about electric vehicles? Vermont already has a pretty good program that's been announced when it comes to these EVs. Yeah. Do we have any immediate use for this infrastructure bill when it comes to that side of it?
Absolutely. We will, of course, have to wait for the program guidance because this is a brand new program that's going to bring $21 million over 5 years to Vermont to invest in electric vehicle charging stations and other alternative fuels. We do have a program in place to issue grants to private sector entities who often bring a 20% match to the project to stretch those federal dollars or the state dollars that we've been using. And we've been able to deploy electric vehicle charging stations for the public. We have 31 charging stations now, about 31 of those, 311 public charging stations, and about 31 of those are fast chargers. We're going to be bringing on another 17 fast chargers between now and the end of next year. But what this money will do will allow us over the course of that 5-year bill to probably bring on about 100 to 125 additional fast charging stations around Vermont. And that lines up well with the update of our fast charging, our charging station deployment plan, which should be ready in the next month or two. So we're very excited about that opportunity and the fact that everything seems to be coming together. The market is growing for EVs. Last year, the EV market in Vermont, the ownership grew by 17% over the prior year, which is significant. We're about 5th in the nation in terms of the number of EVs per capita, but we are 1st in the nation in the number of electric vehicle charging stations per capita. So we're right on the cutting edge here.
I wonder, during the Obama administration, there were signs, I think it was for the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, when money was being used that was part of federal dollars. So basically, Vermonters could see where that money was being spent. Do you have any idea if that's being planned here, whether it's on the federal level or the state?
We're still digesting the minutia of the bill at this point. So we haven't come across that requirement. And I haven't heard that mentioned yet. I do remember the ERA requirements for that and working in that process. So we'll have to wait and see.
Sure, understood.
Yeah.
Finally, Michele, I want to talk about the Name a Plow program. How's it going? Do we have all the plows named so far?
Well, I have to say, Lauren, there's so much excitement about Name a Plow. My communications director, Amy, gets emails from principals and teachers on a daily basis with great ideas and suggestions from the classrooms around the state. So we are really excited about this program, and we do expect every single plow will have a name before this is done. So we're looking forward to getting out there and visiting schools and showing the kids these plows that they have so creatively come up with names for. Any hints on good names that maybe you could tell us? Oh, I hate to let any cats out of the bag. So we're just going to have to hold our breaths and wait for that next newscast.
I understand. Michele Boomhower, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. It's been great to be chatting with you and sharing the excitement of our new transportation bill opportunities.
Thank you.